There are moments in life when your silence will speak louder than 1,000 words. Moments when what you don't say will define your power, your peace, your purpose. But most people never learn this. They react. They explode. They explain themselves to people who don't deserve a single second of their energy. Today, I'm going to give you the key to walking through life with more strength, more clarity, and more self-respect than ever before, by knowing exactly when to stay silent. There are 9 moments when silence isn't just wise, it's essential. And if you master these 9, your life will shift, your relationships will evolve, your mental peace will be unshakable. So if you're tired of being misunderstood, drained by drama, or hijacked by your emotions, lean in. Because what you're about to hear could be the difference between reacting like the rest of the world or rising above it. You ever notice how the people who talk the most usually know the least? It's a funny thing, how we're wired to believe that saying more equals being stronger, that if we speak louder, more often, more confidently, somehow that gives us power. But real strength doesn't always announce itself. Real strength doesn't need applause. It doesn't need to be validated or recognized. Real strength is quiet. It's internal. It's calm in the storm. And it doesn't need to shout to be heard. When everything around you feels loud, people criticizing you, life pulling you in every direction, pressure mounting like a volcano ready to erupt, that's the moment silence becomes your superpower. Most people react. They snap back, they defend, they try to explain, justify, control the perception. But every time you feel like you have to respond, what you're really doing is giving your power away. You're saying, I need your approval to feel secure. I need you to see it my way to feel right. That's not strength. That's emotional dependency. Strength is knowing when to hold your voice, when to sit in that uncomfortable space between what you want to say and what actually needs to be said, which most of the time is nothing at all. Not because you're weak, not because you're scared, but because you've evolved past the need to react. You've stepped into something higher. Mastery of self. Let me tell you something. Silence in the right moment is more powerful than any comeback you could ever craft. Because silence means you're not triggered. Silence means you're in control. It means you're listening, not just to respond, but to understand. That's where real transformation begins. Not in the noise, but in the stillness. We live in a world addicted to noise. Social media, 24/7 opinions, nonstop arguments. Everyone's trying to out-talk each other, but the people who make the biggest impact, they don't get caught in the noise. They pause, they observe, they act from a place of power, not panic. And that's exactly what you need to start doing. You see, when you go silent, people start to reveal themselves. The truth starts to come out. The power dynamic shifts. You go from being emotionally reactive to being unshakable, unbothered, unavailable for drama. You don't need to attend every argument you're invited to. You don't need to match someone's chaos with more chaos. You don't need to explain yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. Sometimes the best way to win is not to play. Let your silence speak for you. Let your energy do the talking. Let your actions make the noise. You don't owe the world your words every time it knocks at your door. And the moment you stop reacting to every little thing is the moment you start reclaiming your life. You reclaim your energy. You reclaim your peace. Because now you're not just surviving the storm. You've become the eye of it. So the next time you're tempted to respond, to prove your point, to defend your truth, pause, breathe, ask yourself, is this silence protecting my peace? Is this silence preserving my power? If the answer is yes, then hold it. Because silence, when it comes from a place of inner strength, not fear, not avoidance, but strength, is not weakness. It's wisdom. It's strategy. It's leadership. And in this life, you're not here just to exist. You're here to lead. You're here to rise. Silence is how it begins. Not every battle is yours to fight. And that's a hard truth to accept when you've been wired to think that every challenge needs a response, that every insult needs a comeback, that every time someone disrespects you, you've got to step up and prove your worth. But that mentality, it's a trap. It's a setup to drain you, distract you, and pull you away from what really matters. You want to grow, you want peace, you want to live with purpose, clarity, direction. Then you've got to start choosing your battles. Like your future depends on it, because it does. You've got to understand something. Your energy is currency, and if you keep spending it on every petty argument, every online comment, every passive-aggressive jab, every person who tries to trigger you, you'll end up bankrupt, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. There are people out there who want you to engage, who feed off your reaction. And if you take the bait, if you let their chaos become your chaos, now you're not leading your life, following, or dysfunction. You're dancing to a song you didn't choose, and you don't even like the music. Let that go. You don't need to react to everything. Not every opinion deserves your attention. Not every conflict is worth your time. There is power in restraint. There is wisdom in letting some things pass without a response. Because silence isn't surrender. It's strategy. When you stop fighting battles that don't belong to you, you create space to win the ones that do. And sometimes the hardest battle isn't with other people, it's with your own ego. That part of you that wants to be right, that wants to be heard, that wants to win. But winning doesn't always mean clapping back. Sometimes real victory is walking away without saying a word and knowing in your soul that your peace is still intact. People will come at you. Life will test you, not once, not twice, but over and over again. And every time, you'll have a choice. React or rise. And rising doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it's as simple as choosing. Silence over spite. Choosing growth over ego. Choosing peace over pride. Don't let small minds drag you into small conversations. You've got big places to go, big things to build, big dreams to fulfill. And if you're constantly busy defending your character, proving your value, getting the last word, you're wasting energy that could be used to actually level up your life. You don't climb mountains by throwing stones at every barking dog. You rise by keeping your focus locked in, by knowing who you are, what you stand for, and refusing to be pulled into emotional warfare with people who don't even know how to control themselves. When you meet conflict with silence, you're not avoiding. It's deeper than that. You're asserting your standard. You're saying, I don't operate on this level anymore. And that sends a message louder than any words ever could. You ever notice how peaceful your life becomes when you stop arguing with people who are committed to misunderstanding you? You don't need to prove your worth to people who don't value it. You don't need to explain yourself to those who twist your truth. You don't need to attend every fight you're invited to. You are allowed to walk away. You are allowed to protect your peace. You are allowed to be silent and still be strong. So the next time someone tries to bait you into conflict, when your ego says, say something, fire back, don't let them talk to you like that. Pause. Remind yourself, not every battle is mine. Not every fight is worthy of me. Silence isn't weakness. Silence is choosing yourself. Emotional intelligence isn't just about managing your emotions. It's about mastering your reactions. It's about knowing that every word you speak has weight. And if you're not intentional with your words, you might end up causing damage that takes years to repair. Most people don't think before they speak. They get triggered, they explode, and in that instant, they trade long-term peace for short-term relief. They say things they can't take back. They damage relationships, kill opportunities, destroy trust, not because they're bad people, but because they never learned the power of the pause, that silence between your impulse and your reaction. That's where growth lives. It's not easy. It's not natural. It takes awareness, practice, and brutal honesty with yourself. But once you learn it, once you train yourself to hit pause instead of explode, you'll notice something powerful happening. You stop being controlled by your emotions and you start leading them. There's a moment in every heated situation where you feel the pressure rising. Your body tenses up, your heart races. You can feel the words forming in your throat. You want to speak, you want to lash out, but if you can catch yourself right there in that split second and choose silence instead of chaos, you've already won. You've separated yourself from 99% of the world. Because most people live in reaction. They're emotionally hijacked every single day. One bad comment ruins their mood. One disagreement ruins their day. One insult ruins their confidence. And they call that normal. But that's not normal. That's undisciplined. That's emotional immaturity dressed up as honesty. Don't fall into that trap. Emotional intelligence means knowing that silence can be your reset button. It gives you space. It gives you time to breathe, time to think, time to respond instead of react. You don't have to match the energy of the room. You don't have to feed into every argument. You don't have to speak just because you feel something. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is stay quiet, gather yourself, and come back stronger, clearer, and more grounded. You ever look back on something you said in the heat of the moment and think, why did I say that? That's the cost of skipping the pause. That's what happens when we let our emotions lead without checking in with our values. Because when your emotions are high, your judgment is low. And in that state, the wrong word, the wrong tone, the wrong message, it can shift everything. That's why silence is such a powerful tool. It's not about shutting down or suppressing what you feel. It's about honoring the emotion without letting it own you. It's about saying to yourself, I feel this, but I don't have to act on it right now. That's emotional maturity. That's leadership. That's growth. We all have moments where we want to speak from the wound. But healing happens when we learn to wait, when we allow silence to be the space where we process, not project. Because words spoken from a place of pain usually just create more pain. The truth is, you don't have to react to everything. You don't have to correct everyone. You don't have to fight to be understood in every moment. Your silence can hold more power, more grace, more wisdom than 1,000 perfectly crafted arguments. It's not about being passive. It's about being precise. It's about waiting for the right time, the right mindset, the right energy to communicate from a place of power, not pain. And let me be clear, this isn't about being emotionless. It's about being emotionally disciplined. Emotions are beautiful. They're human. But left unchecked, they'll run your life. They'll sabotage your peace, your relationships, your growth. And silence gives you space to take the wheel back. So the next time you feel that emotional surge building inside you, the frustration, the anger, the sadness, try this. Don't speak. Just breathe. Let the silence hold you. Let it guide you. Because in that space, you'll find clarity. You'll find strength. You'll find yourself. And when you return to speak, you'll do it from a place that commands respect, not demand. Silence has a way of revealing what noise tries to cover up. We live in a world where everyone wants to be heard, where people talk over each other just to prove a point, to be right, to be validated. But sometimes, if you really want to know someone's true intentions, if you really want to see things clearly, you have to stop talking. You have to get quiet, because when you remove your voice from the equation, you give space for the truth to show itself. Most people fear silence because it makes them uncomfortable. It forces them to sit with uncertainty. It strips away the distraction of words and leaves only reality. But here's the thing. Silence doesn't lie. It exposes, it reveals, it clarifies. When you stop filling every space with your thoughts, your defenses, your explanations, you start to notice who's really listening, who's really on your side, who's genuine and who's just playing a role. And that clarity, that's priceless. Because now you're not guessing, you're not assuming, you're seeing. You want to know someone's character? Go silent. Don't argue. Don't justify. Just watch what they do when you stop responding. Some people need your reaction to validate their ego. Some need your energy to feel important. But when you stay still, when you don't give them what they want, their mask falls. Their truth starts to speak louder than anything they've ever said. And this isn't just about relationships, it's about life. In the stillness, you learn what's real. You get clarity on situations that once felt confusing. You start to hear your own inner voice again beneath all the outside opinions and expectations. There's something sacred about silence. It sharpens your perception. It gives you room to feel, to process, to reflect. And in that space, patterns emerge. People show you who they are, not through what they say, but through what they do, when you're no longer trying to convince them, impress them, or appease them. You don't need to beg people to treat you right. You don't need to keep talking to prove your worth. Just go silent. Let the energy speak. Let the behavior speak. Let the silence be the mirror they have to face. Because some people only understand your value when you stop giving them unlimited access to it. We're conditioned to think that the more we explain ourselves, the more we justify our side, the more we talk through the problem, the better the outcome. But that's not always true. In fact, sometimes the more you say, the more confused things become. The more power you give away, more tangled everything gets. Silence, on the other hand, simplifies. It cuts through the noise. It demands presence. And when you practice silence, not out of spite, but out of strength, you begin to realize how often you were speaking just to fill space, just to avoid discomfort, just to delay the inevitable truth that was trying to surface. But the truth doesn't need your words to be real. It just needs you to get quiet enough to notice it. There will be times when people accuse you, misunderstand you, twist your words, or even lie about you. And your instinct will be to defend yourself, to set the record straight. But ask yourself, what does your silence reveal in that moment? That you're grounded, that you're not rattled, that you're operating from a place of inner power, not panic. People won't always understand your silence. And that's okay. Your job isn't to be understood by everyone. Your job is to understand yourself so deeply that you don't need to be. Because when you're aligned, when you're anchored, when you're clear on who you are, silence becomes your boundary, your wisdom, your guide. And the next time you're in a situation that feels uncertain, tense, unclear, don't rush to fill it with noise. Sit back, go still, watch, because in that silence, the truth always finds a way to speak.